the 20th of July 2026. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst's Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you tonight's bulletin for the Newsfirst team. I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Manal Kamaratunga. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst. Messi's World Cup dream ends. Spain crowned world champions. Mbappe rewrites record books. India approves dengue vaccine. Sri Lanka reviews authorization. Former IGP C.D. Vikramaratne laid to rest with full police honours. Burnham takes office. Britain gets 7th Prime Minister since 2016.
Major scenes unravelled in New Jersey last night as Lionel Messi's dream of winning back-to-back FIFA World Cups came to an end earlier today.
And that followed the result of the final match of this year's FIFA World Cup. Now, Stevin Machado is ready with more on this story. Stevin?
Yes, thank you, Onelka and Jamal. Now, 39-year-old Lionel Messi featured in his 207th international appearance yesterday. However, Spain denied Messi the opportunity to take the World Cup trophy back to Argentina. Ahead of this year's FIFA World Cup, widespread speculation suggested that this tournament could be Messi's final World Cup appearance. However, Messi has not yet made any official announcement regarding his future in football.
Lamine Yamal, Pedro Porro, Williams, and thundered in for Spain by Ferran Torres! Spain's magic moment!
As jubilant Spanish supporters erupted in celebration and devastated Argentine fans endured the agony of an unexpected defeat, Ferran Torres scored the only goal of the match to decide the FIFA World Cup final. Played before a crowd of more than 80,000 spectators, including United States President Donald Trump, at New Jersey's stadium in the United States, the match remained deadlocked after 90 minutes, with neither side able to find the breakthrough. Spain finally broke the stalemate in extra time, with Torres finding the net in the 106th minute to deliver the decisive goal. It marks the second time Spain have been crowned FIFA World Cup champions.
Are the champions! Their second star! The kings of Europe have conquered the world! And who would dispute that they are worthy? This time, Messi is beaten. Argentina, the most defiant of footballing nations.
President Trump joined FIFA President Gianni Infantino in presenting the World Cup trophy to the victorious Spanish team.
In 2026, the champions of the world are Spain!
Several heated confrontations between players from both sides during the World Cup final have since become a major talking point across the football world. Among the most notable incidents was the dismissal of Argentina midfielder Enzo Fernandez, who was shown both a yellow card and a red card during the contest. Reports indicate that FIFA has launched an investigation into a number of incidents that occurred during and after the final. Match officials' reports, observers' assessments and video footage are all expected to be reviewed as part of the disciplinary process. Argentina head coach Lionel Scaloni said emotionally during his post-match press conference, quote, "Being in the role I am, it is the dream for everyone. We have tried until the very last moment to give our best as a coaching staff to the players, and I think it is fair that I can take this time and think about it," unquote. Before leaving the press conference, Scaloni tearfully added, quote, "My soul hurts," unquote.
Pensé que pensamos todos los chicos del cuerpo técnico.
The Golden Boot Award, presented to the tournament's top goal scorer, was won by France captain Kylian Mbappe for the second consecutive FIFA World Cup. He secured the honour after scoring 10 goals during the tournament.
March on. It is the end of the road for Paraguay.
Spain's 19-year-old defender Pau Cubarsí was named the tournament's best young player.
And so much lies ahead of him.
From Spain.
The Golden Glove Award, presented to FIFA World Cup's outstanding goalkeeper, went to Spain's Unai Simon following a series of exceptional performances throughout the competition. Meanwhile, Spain captain Rodri claimed the Golden Ball Award as the tournament's best player, capping off a remarkable campaign by leading Spain to FIFA World Cup glory.
A leader in his style of...
Players, coaches, match officials, and all the volunteers.
Sri Lankan football fans were given the opportunity yesterday to experience the FIFA World Cup final on a giant screen at Golfeast Green in Colombo. The international viewing experience was jointly organised by the Football Federation of Sri Lanka and the Maharaja Media Network, bringing the excitement of world football to local fans. Ahead of the FIFA World Cup final, popular Sri Lankan band Flashback, led by Roshan Fernando, together with several well-known music stars, entertained the crowd with a live musical performance at Golfeast Green.
Drawing your attention to neighbouring India now, as India's Drug Controller General has granted approval for the Kadenga dengue vaccine. This is the first dengue vaccine to be approved in India.
According to Indian media reports, the Qdenga vaccine manufactured by Takeda Biopharmaceuticals India has been designed to provide protection against all 4 serotypes of the dengue virus. The vaccine can be administered to individuals regardless of whether they have previously been infected with dengue. Manufacturers also state that no pre-vaccination testing is required before receiving the vaccine. The vaccine is administered subcutaneously and consists of 2 0.5 milliliter doses given according to a prescribed schedule. Indian media reports indicate that the second dose should be administered 3 months after the first dose. The vaccine has been approved for use among individuals aged 4 to 60 years. Manufacturers stated that since production began in 2022, Qdenga has been approved in 43 countries and more than 32 million vaccine doses have been distributed globally. The vaccine has also received World Health Organization pre-qualification approval, which internationally validates its quality, safety and effectiveness. Sri Lanka has recorded 76,044 dengue cases so far this year as health authorities continue to warn of the growing threat posed by the mosquito-borne disease. The highest numbers of infections continue to be reported from the Gampaha and Colombo districts, which remain among the country's most affected areas. According to the National Dengue Control Unit, 20,666 dengue patients were reported during the first 19 days of this month alone. The number of dengue-related deaths reported this year has reached 53. Health authorities further stated that 162 medical office of health divisions across the country continue to be identified as high-risk dengue zones.
තවමත් ගම්පහ කොළඹ මාතර නුවර කළුතර රත්නපුර ගාල්ල යන දිස්ත්‍රික්කවලින් තමයි වැඩි වශයෙන්ම රෝගීන් වාර්තා වෙන්නේ.
Patients are still being reported mostly from the Gampaha, Colombo, Matara, Kandy, Kalutara, Ratnapura and Gaul districts. So we see, and you too may see, how many mosquito breeding places are still found in the environment. Therefore, with this intermittent rain, the mosquito density remains high. So we earnestly request the public to help reduce this dengue disease by cleaning your surrounding environment, the school your child goes to, your workplace and religious places. Also, if any of you have symptoms such as fever accompanied by body aches, muscle pain, headaches, vomiting or nausea, we specially urge you to consult a qualified doctor. Clear any doubts on whether you have dengue or not. report and seek medical treatment.
ලක්ෂණ තියෙනවා නම් සුදුසුකම් ලත් වෛද්‍යවරයෙක් හම් වෙලා Tamanට තියෙන්නේ ඩෙන්ගු රෝගයේද නැද්ද කියලා සැකහැර දැනගෙන වෛද්‍ය ප්‍රතිකාර සඳහා යොමු වෙන්න කියලා විශේෂයෙන් අපි මහ ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Meanwhile, police said legal action was initiated against 4,672 premises during the first 6 months of the year for maintaining environments conducive to mosquito breeding. Health authorities have also been granted legal powers to issue red notices to owners of premises identified as mosquito breeding grounds. Police warned that failing to comply with instructions stated in a red notice within the specified period constitutes an offence punishable by a fine of up to 25,000 rupees. Meanwhile, a special dengue control program was implemented in the Katana area today. Legal action was taken against residents who maintained premises where dengue mosquitoes were breeding. Although mosquito density has decreased to some extent, the National Dengue Control Unit warns that the situation could change during periods of rainfall and has urged the public to continue clearing their surroundings on a regular basis.
We need to continue these efforts consistently for several more weeks if we are to bring the situation under control. As a tropical country, it is impossible to reduce the number of dengue cases reported each week to zero. However, if we can keep infections at a controlled level, it will be much easier for hospitals to manage patients. More importantly, it will also help us reduce the number of dengue-related deaths.
Stop Dengue Now. The National Dengue Control Program continued for the 10th consecutive day in the Western Province today. The program, which focuses on the Colombo, Kalutara and Kampaha districts, is being conducted by the Maharaja Media Network, led by Newsfirst, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Mass Media. The team that toured the Colombo district today engaged in educating the public on dengue control measures in Piliandala.
To combat the rising threat of dengue, the Colombo team of the Stop Dengue Now National Dengue Prevention Program made their rounds here in Mahallarava Piliandala today. Since the area is flagged as a high-risk dengue zone, authorities conducted meticulous searching, inspections and door-to-door awareness sessions. And with the help of the residents, many dengue breeding sites were identified and destroyed today.
The team from the Kampaha district visited the Katana area today. Another team visited Vadua today.
The final rites of former IGP C.D. Vikramaratne, who died after sustaining a gunshot injury, were performed this evening at the Borella Cemetery with full police honours. The former IGP was 63 years old at the time of his passing.
A large crowd gathered since yesterday to pay their final respects to former Inspector General of Police C.D. Vikramaratne, whose remains were placed at a private funeral parlour in Borella for public viewing. C.D. Vikramaratne, who served as Sri Lanka's 35th Inspector General of Police, joined the Sri Lanka Police in 1986 as a probationary assistant superintendent of police and was a graduate of both the University of Colombo and the General Sir John Kodalavela Defence University. He served as acting Inspector General of Police for over a year from the 28th of April 2019. He was appointed as the 35th Inspector General of Police on the 28th of November 2020 and retired from the position on the 27th of November 2023. During his career, Vikramaratne pursued specialized training programs in India, the United Kingdom, Japan, Singapore, Brazil and Myanmar, covering areas including human resource management, intelligence operations, community policing, anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism and combating narcotics trafficking. Having served nearly a decade as an officer attached to the Police Intelligence Service, he played a key role in operational activities in the northern and eastern provinces during the height of Sri Lanka's civil war. Throughout his service, he also held several senior positions, including Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Southern Province and Acting Senior DIG of the Sabaragamuwa Province. Final rites of former IGP C.D. Vikramaratne was held this afternoon at the Borella General Cemetery.
The passing of retired Inspector General of Police Chandana Deepal Vikramaratne, who dedicated more than 37 years of exemplary service to the Sri Lanka Police and the nation, is a profound loss to the police department and to the country. His unwavering integrity, fearless leadership, distinguished service and enduring contribution to law enforcement will be remembered with deep respect and gratitude.
Sirasa! Ella, Karan! Come on!
Now on to some news overseas. Britain has begun a new political era as Andy Burnham took charge at Downing Street following Sir Keir Starmer's exit.
Terry Karunaratne brings us more on this. Terry?
Thank you, Jamal and Anelka. Well, Britain has entered a new political chapter with Andy Burnham formally appointed Prime Minister following the departure of Sir Keir Starmer from Downing Street, now accepting King Charles III's invitation to form a government at the Buckingham Palace. Burnham takes office at a time of growing calls for stability after a decade of unprecedented political turbulence.
Newly appointed Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Andy Burnham, has pledged to deliver sweeping political and economic reforms, promising to restore stability, tackle the cost of living crisis and rebuild public faith in government after formally accepting the invitation to form a government. Addressing supporters outside 10 Downing Street after returning from Buckingham Palace, Burnham described his appointment as a moment of reflection and renewal for Britain.
I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be. We will make this moment a circuit breaker for Britain, bringing forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years. A new political model and a new economic model. In the 1980s, Britain took some wrong turns. Political power was centralised, economic power privatised, large parts of the country deindustrialised, and they still haven't recovered. Many feel as though they're still in decline, and they don't have the ability to turn things around, and that's why we will change politics. Later this year, I will bring forward a new plan for Britain, a 10-year plan, laying out a path from where we are now to where I believe we all want Britain to be, wherever we're coming from, whatever party we support. But I can do something to give people some breathing space now, some help with the cost of living. And I will set out some of those measures starting tomorrow, including how we pay for them. We will help more young people into work by changing the education system and giving them more support, more mental health support. And we will build more council homes. That is the fair and sustainable way to bring the welfare bill down, to meet our fiscal rules and to honour our commitments on defence to our international partners. I will put the care of people at the heart of everything I do. I will give this my all, and I ask you all to pull with me. Let's build
a new national sense of unity, of common purpose and positivity. Let us make this the moment when Britain starts to believe again, the moment we bring back hope.
Before arriving at Downing Street, Burnham arrived at Buckingham Palace to officially become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom after being invited by King Charles III to form a government. Accordingly, Andy Burnham was officially appointed as the 59th Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Earlier in the day, Keir Starmer announced his resignation, declaring that his work is done as he prepared to meet King Charles III and formally bring his tenure as the United Kingdom's leader to a close.
My work is done. In 6.5 years, I took our party from a historic defeat in 2019, changed it so it was fit to face the country, and won a landslide general election victory in 2024. Since then, it has been the privilege of my life to serve you and this great country as Prime Minister. And I am confident that Britain is now stronger and fairer than it was 2 years ago. Our economy is stronger. Our public services are on the up, with the biggest fall in waiting times for 17 years. So, as I now pass the baton to Andy Burnham, I wish him every success. He has my full support. I go with good grace, I go with a smile, and I go proud of everything that we have achieved. Thank you very much.
Well, shifting your attention to the Middle East, Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis declared a naval blockade against Saudi Arabia effective immediately.
The Houthis said the blockade was in response to Saudi Arabia's continued quote-unquote unjust and oppressive siege on our dear people for nearly 12 years, plundering our resources and imposing a comprehensive blockade on our ports and airports by land, sea and air. The group fired missiles at Saudi Arabia last week after accusing the kingdom of bombing an airport under their control, breaking a 4-year truce in the conflict between the kingdom and the Iran-aligned group. The strikes were the first claimed by the Houthis against Saudi Arabia since an informal truce went into effect in March 2022, following Houthi attacks on Saudi energy infrastructure. The New York Times reports that dozens of U.S. military personnel were wounded and helicopters damaged during 3 Iranian strikes on American forces in Jordan last week. Citing anonymous U.S. officials, it said the Pentagon did not disclose casualties and damage inflicted during the attacks, which came before Iran's strike that killed 2 soldiers and left 1 missing on Friday in Jordan.
And in news closer to home, chaos broke out at Delhi's Janata Mantar as supporters of the Cockroach Janata Party gathered for a Chalo Sansad protest march. Tensions rose as the crowd grew, leading to clashes between protesters and the police. Officers used batons to control the situation. The police had earlier denied permission for the march and prohibited large gatherings in the area.
In India, tens of thousands of Gen Z protesters have taken to the streets of the capital Delhi, calling for the resignation of the country's education minister. Starting as a satirical online movement just a few months ago, the Cockroach Janata Party is now one of India's most visible youth movements. The name of the Cockroach Janata Party came about in response to comments made by India's Chief Justice Surya Kant. During a hearing, he allegedly compared unemployed young people drifting towards journalism and activism to cockroaches and parasites. The CJP is mostly protesting over issues they have with India's education system. The National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test is India's main entrance exam for admission to medical colleges across the country. Nearly 2.28 million candidates sat the exam on the 3rd of May, having studied for months, in some cases years, for the notoriously difficult paper. However, days later it was cancelled after allegations that the questions had been leaked. It was a big blow to aspirants who had to resit the exam under tight security weeks later. Anger over this was one of the reasons the CJP began its protest.
Back to news from here at home. The People's Joint Opposition, led by Professor G.L. Pires, held another media briefing today to voice its opposition to the government's proposal to extend the retirement age of judges.
Now, during the media conference, journalists once again questioned Professor Peiris regarding the removal of the country's former Chief Justice during the period when he served as Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
No one asked for this. Everyone who has expressed an opinion on this matter, including legal organizations, the academic community and members of civil society, has strongly opposed it. Furthermore, there is no certainty or clarity from the government side. In other countries, when attempts are made to introduce changes of this nature, proposals are published well in advance and public feedback is sought. In the United Kingdom, for an example, around 1,200 responses were received over a period of 18 months. Here, there has been no such transparency. No one knows exactly what the government's proposal is. Moreover, this cannot be limited only to judges. If such a benefit is to be granted, it should also be extended across the entire public service, including university professors and especially medical specialists. Nothing else has been done yet. None of the other promised reforms have materialized, but there appears to be a great urgency when it comes to extending the service period of judges. For that, they are prepared to amend the constitution separately. What is a constitutional amendment? We were told the executive presidency would be abolished, democratic reforms introduced, and broad constitutional changes brought forward through a new constitution. Yet the same people who promised a new constitution are bringing constitutional amendments for a single issue. No, mistakes were made. Mistakes can be made by anyone. I am not attempting to justify what happened. In fact, those events caused considerable damage to the government at the time, including at the UN Human Rights Council.
ඒක සාධාරණීකරණය කරපු ඔබතුමා අද ඇවිල්ලා අධිකරණයේ ස්වාධීනත්වය ගැන අධිකරණයේ ගෞරවත්වය ගැන කතා කරන ජෝක් යන්නේ නෑ. ඒ වගේම ජෝක් යන්නේ ධම්මනාථේ කියනවා නම් ඉදායක වුණා. ඒ විදිහට අද මේක වුණාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ කියන එක ජෝක් එකක් නෙවෙයි. නෑ මම එහෙම නෙවෙයි. ඒකමනේ. නෑ නෑ. මම කියන්නේ ඉදාගන්නේ වෙන එක අද වෙන එක සාධාරණ නෑ. මම ගන්නන්නේ එහෙම දේවල් සාධාරණීකරණය කරපු කීයක් කිරිස් අද මේ ගැන කතා කරන්නේ සාධාරණයි. මම එන්නේ ඔක්කොම ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනය මැතිවරණ ක්‍රම සංශෝධනය. දැන් මේ කරන්නේ මොකක්ද?
No. This government sought a mandate to correct the mistakes of the past. Yes, mistakes were made then. But does that mean we should continue making the same mistakes simply because they happened before?
නෑ අපි කියන්නේ ඉංග්‍රීසි ආය කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. අපි කියන්නේ දැන් එහෙම වැරදි කරපු. හරි එහෙම කතා කරපු තමන්ගේ දූර දරන කාලේ එහෙම වැරදි කරපු අය අද ඇවිල්ලා මෙතන සාධාරණීකරණය කරන්න ප්‍රශ්න කරනවා අධිකරණයේ ස්වාධීනත්වය ගෞරවත්වයට හානි කරනවා. හැබැයි ඊට වඩා බරපතල අධිකරණ ශේෂ්ඨ විච බරපතල නින්දාසාගත වරද කරපු පුද්ගලයෙක්. ඉතින් එහෙනම් මොකද අපි කලේ යුත්තේ අභීසුණු යුද්ධයක් අවසන් කරපු රණවිරුව.
Then what should we do? Should the war heroes who helped end a brutal conflict be sent to the gallows? On the premises that there is no confidence in the current judicial system, they are attempting to hand over war heroes and military leaders to foreign courts. At the same time, judicial vacancies are deliberately being kept open until individuals favorable to them can be appointed.
අදතින් ජනතාවට දැන් ජනතාවට නෙමෙයි මම අහන්නේ ඒකට විරුද්ධද පක්ෂද සමස්ත ආයතනයේ මත මට ඒක ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න බෑනේ මෙතන ඒක වගේ ආයතනෙ ඉන්න. ඔව් ඒක හරි සමස්ත ආයතනයේ මත ආයතනයේ සේවකයෙක් විතරයි. ඔව් මාධ්‍යවේදියෙක් නෙවෙයි. මාධ්‍යවේදිය තමයි මාධ්‍යවේදිය මාධ්‍යවේදියන් නිදහසක් නැහැ. මගේ මතය අහුවනම් මම කියනවා. මොකද මගේ මතය අහුවනම් මම කියනවා. හරිද?
While the People's Joint Opposition, led by G.L. Peiris, held media briefings, several Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna meetings led by Namal Rajapaksa were held over the weekend in the Puttlam district. This was the public rally held in the Kubukkadawala area. Namal Rajapaksa expressed his views regarding the judiciary at the Chilao public rally.
We believe that the independence of the judicial system in this country must be protected. It should function free from political interference. If a certain government thinks of fulfilling its own needs, of protecting one or two individuals as they find beneficial, or thinks that the constitution of this country, the judicial system, or the police need to be changed, or thinks that the Attorney General's department should be transformed into a body that acts according to the government's dictates, no, that will not happen. That is wrong. Attempting to do so shatters the trust that the entire public of this country places in the institutions that drive law and order and the judicial system.
These are the views expressed by the Democratic National Alliance at a media briefing convened today regarding the extension of the retirement age of judges.
Right when coming to power, the current government, the opposition, the main party of which was the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, as well as the United National Party and the Podujana Eksat Peramuna, stated very clearly on the election platform and in their manifestos that they would enforce the law against all those who looted, took bribes, took commissions and turned this country into a criminal state. We saw the leader of the Podujana Eksat Peramuna writing letter after letter to the leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya saying, "Let us oppose this extension of the term of judicial judges in the judicial system. Let us unite against this." We see them unite now. What are they trying to do? They are trying to prevent the law from being enforced against the corrupt individuals who defrauded and looted this criminal state of a country. That is why they are gathered together today. All those in that field are mostly on bail or under suspicion today or in prison. There are only the weaklings inside that circle who are objecting, right? The general public of this country chased them off. Today, unable to even walk the streets, having been chased away democratically through elections, these people are still living off the tax money of the public of this country. They couldn't unite when this country went bankrupt. Now we say this service extension is being given to serve the country, to protect the rule of law and to enforce that law against the corrupt people who turned the country into a criminal state. When the government is doing this in good faith, giving judges a service extension of a year or two to bring this matter to its proper place, this is paid for by the tax money of the people of this country. So that tax money has not been put by these people to the right use at the right time for the right thing. Therefore, something is happening to this country because of that.
ඒවට කියවන්නේ මේ රටේ මහජනතාවගේ බදු මුදල්නේ. ඒකට මේ බදු මුදල් නිසි වෙලාවට නිසි කාලෙට නිසි දෙයටනේ මේගොල්ලෝ දාලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒකට ඒකෙන් යම් කිසි දෙයක් මේ රටට සිද්ධ වෙනවනේ.
Political parties in the opposition are now in a conversation about the next presidential election as well. SLPP General Secretary Sagara Karyavasam stated today that Namal Rajapaksa will definitely be the presidential candidate in 2029. Samagi Jana Balawegaya Borala organizer Rajitha Lakmal responded to these statements by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
Who is most suitable to lead opposition politics?
In 2029, an SLPP candidate will definitely be fielded. That candidate is Namal Rajapaksa. We are already preparing the necessary master plans for taking over the country in 2029, including the future path, economic strategies and social reforms. Unlike the current government, which has no plan, we are preparing all the plans needed for the country from 2029 onwards to be implemented under Namal Rajapaksa as the president of Sri Lanka and his cabinet.
සැලසුම් සකස් කරමින් තියෙනවා. සාගරකාරියවසම් පැතුමත් ඉතින් නේද දැන්
Sagara Karyavasam used to act like a king in the past. He tried to make Basil king. In the end, there is no Basil either. He is left alone. He is just making a small speech saying, "We are going to take over the power of the opposition." He says it like, "I am the big shot. We are the big shots." But there is no real power there, is there? There is nothing they can do. And we don't need to look any further. How many are there in parliament? 3. As for the person they call their next leader, did he at least run for an election in Hambantota last time? How did he talk? Hambantota is our stronghold. We have done everything possible in Hambantota. Giruwa Pathua is ours. Did a man who said such things even run for an election? Are they going to make someone who didn't even run for an election the leader of the opposition? Or are they going to make him president? You need to have the spine to run for an election. You can't just run for an election without that. You need the spine to run, even if it means you might lose.
The Court of Appeal has released on bail an individual who was arrested under the Prevention of Terrorism Act and held in remand custody for almost 15 years.
The Court of Appeal has ruled that such a long period of detention without trial is considered a special circumstance sufficient to grant him bail, pointing out that the defendant had spent about 15 years in prison when filing the bail application. The court noted that he was a 26-year-old youth at the time of his arrest and was forced to spend the most valuable part of his youth in prison awaiting trial. The Court of Appeal delivered this verdict by revoking an order issued by the Colombo High Court, which had rejected bail for Thambia Prakash alias Dhanush, the third defendant in this long pending terrorism case. The verdict was announced by the bench comprising judges Pradeep Hettiarachchi and P. Kumararatnam. The defendant, who was arrested in August 2009, was served an indictment under the Prevention of Terrorism Act and Emergency Regulations in September 2012. The indictment contains a total of 230 charges, comprising 115 charges under the Prevention of Terrorism Act and another 115 charges under Emergency Regulations, with 106 witnesses named on behalf of the prosecution. Accordingly, the court ordered the defendant to be released on bail with strict conditions. These conditions include a cash bail of 200,000 rupees, for surety bails worth 5 million rupees each, appearing before the Terrorism Investigation Division of Police Headquarters once every 2 weeks, and surrendering the defendant's passport to the court. The court also ordered that the bail would be revoked if these bail conditions are violated. The Court of Appeal observed that although Section 15B was incorporated into the Prevention of Terrorism Act by the Parliament through the 2022 amendments empowering the court to grant bail under special circumstances, the High Court had failed to properly consider the legislative intent of the said amendment when rejecting the bail application. The judgment further stated that when the defendant was arrested, his daughter was only 1 year old, and due to his prolonged detention, his family had lost his embrace and protection throughout that entire period. Attorney-at-Law Astika Devendra, along with Attorney-at-Law Aruna Laksiri, appeared for the defendant, while Deputy Solicitor General Anupa De Silva appeared for the Attorney General.
Weather first.
The Department of Meteorology has issued an advisory regarding strong winds.
Today's weather information is brought to you by Stevin Machado. Stevin?
Yes, thank you once again, Jamal and Onelka. Now, due to the active southwest monsoonal conditions, strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers rather can be expected over the slopes of the central hills, as well as in the northern, north central and central provinces, as well as the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. Now, several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern provinces, as well as in the districts of Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Mathura. Now, showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in Munaragala and Ampara, Batticaloa districts after 2 p.m. Meanwhile, dry weather conditions will prevail over most parts of the other places of the island.
Weather first.
In more local news, Sri Lanka has called for developing nations to be given an equal voice in shaping global artificial intelligence governance, with Deputy Minister of Digital Economy Eranga Weeraratne warning that countries in the global south cannot remain on the sidelines as the rules governing AI are being written.
Delivering a keynote address at the diplomatic level forum held alongside the 2026 World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai, China, the Deputy Minister emphasized that countries like Sri Lanka deserve a seat at the table where decisions on the future of artificial intelligence are made. Addressing delegates, Weeraratne noted that artificial intelligence is already reshaping governments, economies and societies across the globe. However, he stressed that the critical question confronting the international community is no longer whether AI will transform the world, but whether the benefits of that transformation will be shared equitably or whether it will widen the divide between countries that create the rules and those expected to follow them. He said Sri Lanka's position is clear. Global AI governance frameworks must be developed with developing nations actively participating in decision-making from the beginning, rather than being informed of policies after key decisions have already been made. The Deputy Minister said the ultimate measure of success for any artificial intelligence system should not be technological sophistication alone, but its ability to improve the lives of ordinary people and deliver meaningful social and economic benefits.
Sri Lanka Law College has launched its digital transformation project, introducing a learning management system, student management system and curriculum reforms to modernize legal education. The event was held today under the patronage of Chief Justice Preeti Padman Surasena.
Sri Lanka Law College unveiled a major step towards modernizing legal education with the soft launch of its digital transformation project. The initiative included the introduction of a learning management system and a student management system, along with curriculum reforms aimed at enhancing the academic experience of law students.
E-filing is the solution so that you don't consume space. However much large the space is, then the solution is the cloud. In the cloud, you store as much as you can. You won't face situations like this and find cracks in the building. Having digitalized the Supreme Court, now the Supreme Court digitalization is over, completely over. It is for the lawyers to file. The filing is on the increase. And about 3 weeks or 1 month ago, we launched the digitalization of the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal is also, now it has started getting electronically filed documents. Particularly writ applications are coming through the electronic system. And it will increase soon. And on all the other courts, we are going to launch on 31st this month, 31st July in the afternoon. We are going to launch the digitalized systems of the Commercial High Court, the Civil Appeal High Court, High Court, District Court, and the Magistrates Court. Now, this system, LMS and SMS, these systems do not stand alone.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.